something snapped in Cleveland, and the entire football world felt it. One moment, Jeudy was marching toward Shedeur Sanders like he owned the sideline. And the next, he was realizing he picked the absolute worst person to challenge. What happened in those few seconds didn't just expose tension between two players. It exposed the fragile core of a team already buckling under pressure. And the look on Jeudy's face when he realized Shedeur wasn't rattled? That was the moment this story stopped being about football and became something much bigger. Because Jeudy didn't confront a timid rookie. He confronted someone who's been forged in pressure since childhood. Someone who's dealt with criticism louder than any stadium crowd. Someone who's been dissected by media long before stepping into the NFL. And the second Jeudy stepped into his space expecting fear, expecting hesitation, expecting a crack, he ran into a wall of calm confidence that made him look completely unprepared. But this moment wasn't born out of nowhere. It didn't come from one bad throw or one miscommunication. It came from weeks of frustration, leadership gaps, offensive dysfunction, and a receiver who hasn't lived up to the spotlight he keeps demanding. What millions saw on TV was just the surface. Beneath it is a story about accountability, ego, pressure, and a young quarterback carrying far more than his share. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. That sideline confrontation wasn't the problem. It was the symptom. Jeudy didn't walk up to Shedeur Sanders by accident. He walked over with the confidence of someone who believed he held the upper hand. The body language of a veteran who thought his NFL resume and his $52 million contract gave him permission to talk down to a rookie quarterback. In Jeudy's mind, this was supposed to be simple. Confront the young guy, assert dominance, shift blame, and walk away feeling like the leader he imagines himself to be. But the problem for Jeudy was simple. He completely misread the person he was dealing with. Shedeur Sanders may be new to the NFL, but he's not new to pressure. He's not new to expectations. And he's definitely not new to having people question everything he does. Shedeur grew up under the weight of a last name that guaranteed attention whether he wanted it or not. He faced national scrutiny in college, endless debates about whether he could play at the highest level, and an audience that has been waiting for him to fail since day one. So when Jeudy stepped into his space with all that fake sideline bravado, expecting to see nerves or hesitation, he instead watched his entire strategy crumble. Shedeur didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't even shift his expression. And at that moment, that silent, still moment, Jeudy realized he wasn't confronting a fragile rookie. He was confronting someone who has survived far more than a teammate's outburst. And that realization hit him harder than any defender ever has. Before you can understand why Jeudy's intimidation attempt fell flat, you have to understand the environment Shedeur Sanders has been navigating long before he ever threw an NFL pass. Most rookies enter the league quietly, easing into the spotlight. Shedeur stepped into it already carrying the expectations of a household name, a college career broadcast on national television, and millions of people waiting to judge his every move. Pressure isn't new to him. It's his normal. From the moment he picked up a football, eyes were on him, not because he asked for attention, but because of who he is. Being Deion Sanders' son meant every throw was measured, every mistake was magnified, and every success came with a side of, let's see if he can do it again. At Jackson State and Colorado, he played under a microscope that most college athletes never experience. Critics questioned his arm strength, his durability, his leadership, everything that makes a quarterback a quarterback. And yet, through all of that, Shedeur developed something rare: emotional armor. He learned how to stay composed when the world wanted chaos. He learned how to filter out noise, stay focused, and let pressure sharpen him rather than break him. So when Jeudy stormed toward him, expecting fear, he was walking into the wrong battlefield. Shedeur had already faced doubt louder than Jeudy's shouting. He'd already survived storms far heavier than sideline frustration. Jeudy thought he was confronting a rookie. He was actually confronting a survivor of years of public fire. To understand why this entire situation boiled over, you have to look at the reality Shedeur Sanders walked into the moment he became the Browns' starting quarterback. Because while fans see the jersey and the spotlight, what Shedeur has been dealing with behind the scenes is a level of dysfunction that would overwhelm most veterans, let alone a rookie trying to find his footing. Start with the offensive system. It's conservative, restrictive, and designed to protect weaknesses instead of showcasing strengths. Instead of letting Shedeur use his accuracy and timing to stretch the field, he's boxed into safe, predictable plays that defenses read before the ball is even snapped. When you limit a quarterback like that, frustration isn't a possibility, it's guaranteed. Then there's the protection issue. The offensive line has been inconsistent all season, breaking down in moments where Shedeur needs time the most. He's been dodging pressure, avoiding sacks, and making throws with defenders practically breathing on him. Yet through all of it, he stays poised, and we can't ignore the receiving core, especially when your supposed #1 option leads the league in drops. When every other drive seems to end with the ball bouncing off a receiver's hands, the offense stalls before it even finds rhythm. Despite all this, Shedeur never points fingers, never calls anyone out, never blames circumstances. He keeps his head down and competes. So when Jeudy confronted him on the sideline, it wasn't just misplaced frustration. It was a complete misread of who has actually been carrying the weight of this offense. The spark that lit this entire confrontation wasn't random. It came from a single play that revealed exactly where things are breaking down in Cleveland. Midway through the game, the Browns dialed up a deep shot to Jeudy, a route designed to give the offense a momentum-shifting moment. Shedeur dropped back, read the coverage, and let the ball fly with perfect timing toward a spot only his receiver could reach. And then, Jeudy eased up. Instead of accelerating through the route, instead of fighting to high-point the ball, instead of competing the way elite receivers do, he slowed down. The pass landed just out of reach, not because Shedeur missed, but because Jeudy didn't finish the play. Analysts reviewing the film all said the same thing. If Jeudy keeps running full speed, that's a catch, maybe even a touchdown. Here's the crazy part. When reporters asked Shedeur about it after the game, he didn't throw Jeudy under the bus. He didn't mention the half-speed route. He didn't hint at blame. He took responsibility. He talked about timing, chemistry, and the process of growing together as an offense. He protected the veteran who didn't protect him. But instead of appreciating that, instead of recognizing that his quarterback absorbed the criticism for him, Jeudy chose to confront Shedeur publicly on the sideline, as if the mistake belonged to anyone but himself. That's not leadership. That's not accountability. That's deflection. And it turned a routine incompletion into a moment that exposed the real issue. One player's doing his job and more, while the other isn't doing the basics. When Jeudy marched toward Shedeur Sanders on the sideline, he expected the moment to go one way, his way. He thought raising his voice, clapping in Shedeur's face, and crowding his space would rattle the rookie into silence. Maybe he imagined teammates stepping in to support him, or cameras capturing him as the fiery veteran holding people accountable. Instead, what happened was the complete opposite. Shedeur didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't raise his voice or his hands. He just stood there, calm, collected, and unbothered. And that stillness hit Jeudy harder than any comeback ever could. Because when someone expects fear and gets composure, the entire power dynamic flips instantly. The cameras caught it too. That split second on Jeudy's face when he realized this wasn't going the way he planned. The moment when he understood he wasn't intimidating Shedeur, he was exposing himself. exposing the frustration he's been carrying, exposing the lack of accountability in his own game, exposing the insecurity of a player who knows he hasn't lived up to his paycheck. And worst of all, he exposed it on national television. Instead of looking like a leader demanding better, he looked like someone trying to shift the blame away from his own mistakes, his drops, his fumbles, his lack of effort on routes. Shedeur didn't need to say a word to win that exchange. His silence did more damage than any argument could. Jeudy came to the sideline looking for someone to blame. He walked away looking like the problem. If the sideline moment exposed Jeudy, the post-game press conference exposed something far more important: who the true leader of the Browns actually is. Because once the final whistle blew, reporters didn't swarm Jeudy. They didn't ask him about his effort, his drops, or his outburst. No, they went straight to Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback who had already carried more than his share of responsibility. And what did those reporters do? They tried to bait him. They asked loaded questions about Kevin Stefanski's aggressive play calling. They hinted that Shedeur might be frustrated with the coaching staff. They tried to push him into criticizing teammates or admitting that the offense was failing because of things outside his control. Any rookie, especially one fresh off a heated sideline confrontation, might have snapped back, might have vented, might have taken the easy opportunity to defend himself. But Shedeur didn't fall for it for even a second. He called out the question immediately, saying it was rude to ask a quarterback to judge a coach's decisions. He refused to point fingers. He refused to throw anyone under the bus. He talked about chemistry taking time. He talked about trust being built rep by rep. He took responsibility for things that weren't even his fault. And in that moment, the contrast couldn't have been clearer. While Jeudy was losing his composure, Shedeur was protecting the team. While Jeudy was creating chaos, Shedeur was calming it. While Jeudy was dodging accountability, Shedeur was owning it. Leadership isn't about yelling on the sideline. It's about staying grounded when everyone else is cracking. And Shedeur showed exactly who has that quality and who doesn't. There's another layer to this story that most people are ignoring, but players inside that locker room feel it every single week. The coaching isn't helping Shedeur Sanders. In fact, it's making his job harder. Kevin Stefanski has built his reputation on being an analytical, disciplined play caller, but lately, his decisions have looked more like calculated risks with none of the calculation. And every time those decisions backfire, it's Shedeur, not Stefanski, who gets questioned about them. The Browns keep dialing up aggressive fourth-down calls in terrible field positions, asking a rookie quarterback with a banged-up offensive line and inconsistent receivers to execute low-percentage plays. These aren't strategic gambles. They're desperation calls masked as confidence. And when they fail, who faces the microphones? Not the head coach, not the coordinator. Shedeur does. The press conference after the game was the perfect example. A reporter tried to slide in a question that would have put Shedeur in a no-win situation, criticize the play calling and create controversy, or defend it and shoulder the blame. Instead, Shedeur shut it down with one sentence, calling the question disrespectful. But here's the problem. Why is a rookie quarterback forced to protect the coach instead of the coach protecting him? Stefanski's system has been rigid, predictable, conservative to a fault, until it suddenly becomes overly aggressive at the worst possible moments. And meanwhile, the receivers aren't being held accountable. The O-line is inconsistent. The scheme isn't tailored to Shedeur's strengths. Yet Shedeur takes the hits, literal and figurative, while everyone else hides behind him. That's not how a winning organization operates. That's how a quarterback gets worn down before he even reaches his prime. Here's the truth no one in Cleveland wants to say out loud. Jeudy wasn't actually mad at Shedeur Sanders. Not really. What the cameras captured on that sideline wasn't leadership, and it wasn't accountability. It was projection. It was a frustrated player looking for somewhere to place the weight of his own shortcomings. and Shedeur just happened to be the closest target. Because if we're being honest, what exactly did Jeudy have to stand on when he confronted his quarterback? He couldn't blame the deep ball. The film showed he slowed down and quit on the route. He couldn't blame his lack of targets. He's been dropping the opportunity he does get. He couldn't blame the offensive struggles. He's one of the biggest reasons the offense keeps stalling. So what does a player do when the mirror starts reflecting things he doesn't want to admit? He looks for someone else to blame. And in that moment, Jeudy picked the wrong person. The instant he realized Shedeur wasn't backing down, not even a little, something shifted in Jeudy's expression. It was quick, just a flash, but it said everything. He expected compliance. He expected discomfort. Instead, he got a young quarterback who didn't waver, didn't shrink, and didn't rise to the bait. That's when Jeudy understood what the rest of the world saw. This wasn't a rookie you could rattle. This wasn't someone you could bully to hide your own mistakes. This was someone who had endured more pressure in college than Jeudy has in his entire NFL career. And Jeudy's outburst didn't expose Shedeur. It exposed himself, a veteran cracking under pressure, while the rookie he confronted stayed solid as a rock. This confrontation wasn't just a bad look for Jeudy. It was a flashing warning sign for the entire Browns organization. Because when a veteran melts down on the sideline while a rookie stays poised, it forces everyone, coaches, players, and especially the front office, to reevaluate who's actually helping this team move forward and who's holding it back. Right now, Shedeur Sanders is doing everything you want from a young quarterback. He absorbs the criticism, shields his teammates, defends his coaches, and never blames circumstances. He's performing under pressure, staying composed in chaos, and showing leadership qualities that can't be taught. That's the kind of player you build around. Meanwhile, Jeudy is doing the opposite. The drops, the effort issues, the sideline theatrics, they paint the picture of a player who wants the status of a WR1 without the accountability that comes with it. And when a highly paid veteran publicly confronts the quarterback who's been carrying the offense, it doesn't just hurt chemistry, it fractures trust. Inside NFL buildings, trust is everything. So the Browns are now facing a simple but massive question. Do they double down on the rookie who's already showing franchise quarterback poise? Or continue tolerating a veteran whose production and attitude are pushing the team backward? Because moments like this echo. They linger in meeting rooms, in locker rooms, in film sessions. Players remember who kept the team together and who tore it apart. If Cleveland wants to finally break its cycle of dysfunction, it starts with choosing culture over ego, accountability over attitude, Shedeur over Jeudy. And this sideline moment may have just made that decision for them. When that sideline clip first appeared on screens, most people saw it as just another emotional flare-up between teammates. But the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this moment was far bigger than Jeudy's frustration or Shedeur Sanders' unwavering calm. It was a snapshot of a team divided, a veteran clinging to status he hasn't earned lately, and a rookie quietly emerging as the leader everyone else is supposed to be. Jeudy's outburst didn't reveal anything about Shedeur. It revealed everything about Jeudy: the insecurity, the lack of accountability, the frustration of knowing his production no longer matches his paycheck. On the other side of that confrontation was a rookie who showed more maturity in silence than some players show in entire seasons. Shedeur didn't need to argue, didn't need to posture, didn't need to defend himself. His composure did all the talking, and now the Browns are left with a defining question. Which direction do they want to go? Do they want to keep riding the roller coaster of veterans who crumble when the pressure hits and create chaos when things don't go their way? Or do they want to build around the young quarterback who has already shown he can withstand criticism, carry responsibility, and maintain poise in a storm? Moments like this are turning points. They expose character. They expose culture. They expose who belongs and who doesn't. If the Browns are serious about changing their future, they'll start listening to what this moment revealed, because the leader they've been searching for didn't yell. He didn't argue. He didn't blame. He simply stood there, calm, steady, and unbreakable. And everyone watching saw exactly who the real cornerstone of this franchise is becoming.